Yo, what is going on? Good morning, this is Andrew, known as ZERODRAWDREW, Pip Catch Administration. Welcome back to another video. We're here with a weekly analysis. It is Sunday, November 21st, 2021. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like this, subscribe. It'll keep us motivated. Put this shit out every fucking day, baby. I mean, come on. We fucking sending gold. We putting gold in this shit every day. All I'm asking, guys, just smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Alright, let's get into it. Because honestly, I don't care. Alright, so weekly chart. Let's get into what really matters here. By the way, it is a week before Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you guys all have a fantastic fucking week. If you want to learn how to actually do this, we got this Black Friday special for $95 fucking dollars. So if you're interested in that, click the link in my bio, Instagram.com/ZeroDrawDrew. But other than that, let's get into it. So, gbpusd, right? We've been bearish on the weekly chart, as I've been talking about these past couple weeks, right? So, on the daily chart, what I do notice is that we had, a little run up in the beginning of the week. We rejected this level. We took out those rejections, and we started moving towards the upside, right? Late last week, we had a bull trap above this 1.34850 key zone. And overnight we did drop pretty aggressive, right? One thing that I do notice is that we are forming this U-like structure on a daily chart, so there is a possibility that we do push back up to that level overall. But right now, looking at that sell-off, there is seller momentum at the moment. So we just really want to play it by day, right? And look for a reaction to the levels listed. So we did drop very aggressive, on Friday. I do think bears do want to continue for the short term, right? So on the hourly chart, we do have this crown-like pattern that is forming, as you can see right there. So this does indicate more downside. All the buyers' liquidity is above this trend line right here. So you could potentially look for bull traps above that trend line right there. I'm also starting to see this U-like resistance at this level right there. So look for bull traps there to trade towards the bottom of the crown pattern, right? And then look for a reaction to the neckline of the crown pattern. So, like I said, overall on the daily chart, there's a possibility that we do push up to that level. But overall on the weekly chart, we are bearish, so there is a possibility that this thing does continue to just drop. So we do want to look for a reaction to the neckline of that crown pattern. Depending on what happens at the neckline, will give us our next decision. So if price just, pushes through, it looks more of like a fake out on the sellers. We're going to look for buy opportunities back up to that trend line and that resistance level right there, because one thing I do notice is that all buyer liquidity is above that level. So there is a possibility that we do trap bulls above this trend line on the short term. Drop to the crown neck. It might find support a little later in the week and then push up to the buyer liquidity. Once we catch buyer liquidity there, we might be able to move down long term, right? So that is gbpusd. Also, guys, you do want to keep in mind that this is a holiday week, so it might be a consolidating week. One thing that I do notice, I've been trading for 4.5 years now, and every time it is a holiday week, we usually get like an indecisive week, or it usually is an indecisive week on holiday weeks, but there is always a chance that something else happens. But you do want to keep in mind that it is a holiday week, so you just want to, minimize your risk, trade what you see, and that's that. So if you guys are a little confused, just stick around. I'm going to go over these things one more time at the end once I go over everything, so just stick around. Let's go. So that's gbpusd, gbpjpy, right? On the weekly chart, we have consolidated on the week, as you can see. We pushed up and we came back down and we rejected later into the week, right? So on the daily chart, the weekly chart, we're indecisive, right? On the daily chart, one thing that I do notice is we had this U-like structure and we had bull traps to that trend line listed right here. So Right now, it is reading seller momentum due to that bull trap to that trend line. We have that U resistance. So I do think that overall gbpjpy does want to continue moving down, but I'm not sure if we want to move down right away. So in the beginning of the week, we might want to, pull back. We might want to pull back to that 153,400 key zone, maybe that trend line over there. But you guys do got to keep in mind that all buyer liquidity is above this trend line and this trend line listed, right? So look for bull traps to that level. Right now, we do need a little bit more momentum, a little bit more price action before we can drop a short, because, of what happened late day with gbpjpy. It sold off, but we did have this wick right here, so there is a possibility that we might just want to pull back on the short term, find some price action, at these levels listed, which would be these levels right here, and then maybe Tuesday into Wednesday, we might find that drop. So it might, come up, reject the level, and then later into the week, we might, form that price action for the drop. So overall, gbpjpy, we consolidated on the week. On the daily chart, we had this bull trap above this U-like resistance. On the hourly chart, I think we need a little bit more price action before, it could continue to move down. All buyer liquidity is above the trend lines listed. This trend line, that 400 level and the 700 level. Look for, potential bull traps to those levels. Like I said, on the daily chart, I think we might want to pull back, reject, maybe consolidate for a bit, find some price action. It is sort of starting to form this crown-like pattern. I just think we need a little bit more price action before it could fall down a little bit more. So just wait for price to react to these levels listed, and then do your thing, fellas. So that is gbpjpy, eurusd. We've been selling off very aggressive. We called this short a couple weeks ago on our weekly analysis. Right now, the bears are in control on eurusd on the weekly chart. There's nothing I'd really want to do with this, but you could look overall. We are bearish, and on the weekly chart, all bearish liquidity is at this 1.11670 key support, right? So we're not quite there yet. One thing that I do notice on the daily chart, we found support over here, and we had a bull trap on a Friday. So right now, seller momentum is still there on the daily chart due to this bull trap that has happened on Friday, right? So there's no reason, there's no reason to look for buy opportunities yet due to that bull trap. On the hourly chart, we are looking at this trend line right here, and this resistance level right here, also this trend line right here, and this resistance level right there. So you're going to look for potential bull traps to one of these levels over here to short, just to go with the trend, or you could wait on eurusd, wait for bears to become exhausted somewhere down here, and look for this thing to start to turn around, because we are oversold overall, but the bears are still in control, right? That makes sense. So eurusd, we've been selling off hard the last couple weeks, hard, right? On the daily chart, it is still reading downside, right? But we are at this oversold level, where, it's like, in my opinion, I just don't like trading in overbought or oversold markets. I'd rather, trade the range and play it kind of by day. This is something that I really wouldn't want to play with, but if I was looking for shorts on eurusd, I would wait for buyer liquidity to be grabbed somewhere above one of these trend lines, and then wait for price action from there. On the 15-minute chart, one thing I do notice is we do have, this crown-like pattern. As you can see, there is a U-like resistance right here. There is a possibility that we do see bull traps, up above here to trade towards, the neckline of that crown. So it is reading more downside on a 15-minute chart overall, but you do want to look to react to the levels listed and kind of play it by day. So on eurusd, you could also look for it above, one of these levels, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is eurusd. We're going to go over it one more time before we wrap it all up. Let me just finish the 4 pairs, and that's it. So gold, last week we talked about this. We talked about how price was going to consolidate because we were approaching this trend line on the daily chart, if you can recall, right? So if you've been keeping up with these videos, I'm sure you guys are starting to realize that they're very accurate, so you could trust me, right? You could trust me. You can fucking trust me. Let's go. Anyways, this is what I called last week on the 4-hour chart. You know, right now we're looking at the hour chart, so it might look a little different, but last week on the 4-hour chart, we called this right here. I said to look for bull traps to this level right here, this trend line, and as you can see, we had a bull trap to that level, came back into value, and it dropped, right? So if you want to go back to last week's video, like, see that? Go for it. But last week was last week. This week is this week. It's a new fucking week, fellas. So let's get into it. So gold, right? Gold. So we are respecting that trend line, as you can see on the weekly chart. But on the daily chart, we are respecting this trend line on the weekly chart. But on the 4-hour chart, we had that bull trap. And that's why it did have that downside on the short term, right? But usually when I do see something like this where it's respecting that trend line, it usually wants to break the trend line, right? So it respected it on the daily chart, but on the 4-hour chart, we had that bull trap, and that's what signaled the downside, right, on the short term, right? So right now, there's no really reason to buy this yet. You know, we have been in this range these past couple days, this whole week with gold, right? But there is a possibility that we do take out this rejection and move a little higher, right? So we are looking at the support levels listed. This 1848 key support level right there. As you can see, that is a key support level. So you can, you know, expect some sort of manipulation at that 1848 key support level. Right now, we are reading more downside on the hourly chart. But I do think that overall, you know, we want to push through. So on a daily chart, you do need a daily close for this. So honestly, if you want to see more upside with gold, you do need to see like a bullish engulfing above this trend line. If we get a bullish engulfing and we take out the bears from this rejection, you know, at that point we can start to move higher, you know, probably up to the next resistance level on the daily chart, which would be around 1914, right? So look out for that on the daily chart, right? So if we get a bullish engulfing back into this trend line value on the daily chart, you know, you could start to look for buy opportunities up to the levels listed, right? Look for a reaction to the retest of the trend line, so on and so forth. So on the hourly chart, you know, it doesn't look like, you know, we're just gonna shoot up past that trend line right now. By the way, it's not that trend line, it's this trend line. So you have to draw that out on a 4-hour chart and kind of break it down back down to the hour chart, you know, to really see what's happening. So right now it does look like we're reading more downside on gold on the short term. So all sellers liquidity really is below here, right here, this 1841 key support and this trend line listed. So sellers could become exhausted down there, and then once, you know, we get that bear trap, you could look for that buy opportunity first up to that 1850 U resistance, and then depending on how we react to that level is going to see what happens next, right? But all buyers liquidity is above that trend line and this level listed right here. So if, you know, bears become exhausted down here, look for bear traps to trade towards first that that U resistance, then up to the trend line listed, right? So that is gold. Let me explain it one more time. Gold, right? We have ranged on the weekly chart, but we are respecting that trend line pretty nicely, giving me reason to believe that we may push through it eventually, right? On the daily chart, like I said, we're respecting it very nicely. We are reading downside right now on the short term with gold, right? But we are looking for a reaction to these levels listed, like this 1848 key support and this 1832 key support, also this 1841 key support. So on the hourly chart, all sellers liquidity is below this 1841 key support, right? All buyers liquidity is above this trend line. So in the beginning of the week, I would wait for sellers to become exhausted below this level to trade towards that U-like resistance, look for a reaction there, and if we break that level, look to trade towards the trend line, so on, so forth. But overall, if you're looking to take that buy up to that 1914 key level on the daily chart, we do need a strong impulse wave above this trend line. Once we get that impulse wave, we could look for a retest on that trend line and trade towards that 1914 key resistance, right? So that is gold. Euro USD, right? We are bearish on the week. Bears are in control on the weekly chart. This is something I really wouldn't want to trade, but bears are in control. All sellers liquidity is below this 1.11670 key support, right? On the daily chart, we did have this bull trap on the daily chart, signaling more downside for the short term. On the hourly chart, all buyer liquidity is above, these trend lines listed and these key levels listed. If I'm looking for shorts to trade towards the 670 support, I'm looking for, bull traps to one of these levels listed, for that opportunity back down. If you are going to take that short, to be honest with you, you do need a little bit more price action because, like I said, we are becoming oversold. So there is a possibility that we turn around at any moment just due to the fact that we're very oversold, right? But like I said, if you're looking at this, bears are in control. Bears are in control. So you kind of want to go with the overall trend, right? So that is Euro USD, gbpjpy, right? We consolidated on the week. We came up, we pumped back down, and that's what happened on the weekly chart. If we look at the daily chart, we have this U-like resistance. We have this bull trap above this trend line listed, signaling more downside. But if you look at what happened late on Friday, we wicked up. So there is a chance. So yeah, on gbpjpy, we wicked up late on Friday. There is a possibility that on Monday into Tuesday, we do pull back to that 153,400 key level, reject that level, and then later in the week, we may move a little bit further. So on the hourly chart, all buyers liquidity is above these trend lines listed, this 400 key level. Like I said, I think it might be a little too early to take the shorts right away, but overall, we are reading downside due to that bull trap above the trend line. So look for a reaction to that trend line retest and that 400 retest for the short opportunity back down to the lows and even lower, because right now on the daily chart, we are reading, more downside with gbpjpy, right? So now gbpusd, right? gbpusd, we've been indecisive on the week, but overall we are bearish on the weekly chart, right? So on the daily chart, we did have rejections to this level. We took out the rejections, and now it's forming this U-like structure on the daily chart. But one thing that I do notice is that we had that bull trap above that 1.34850 key zone, and on Friday we sold off very aggressive, right? So right now we are reading downside with gbpusd, right? On gbpusd, we do have this crown-like formation forming. All buyer liquidity is above this trend line listed. I'm going to look for bull traps above that level to trade towards the crown neck, but keep in mind these levels listed, so I'd look to take profits at this 100 level, maybe even that level right there. So look for bull traps above there to trade towards the neckline of the crown, and then look for a reaction to that level as that happens, because overall we did come back into this value, so there is a possibility that we do find support and move up to that U-like resistance. But overall on the weekly chart, we are bearish, so there is a possibility that we do continue to move down, right? So if we do get bear traps to that crown, we're going to look for buy opportunities up to the levels listed, but on the short term, we are reading downside, so look for bull traps to that level to trade towards the neckline of the crown. Okay, so that is it with gbpusd. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM. Instagram.com/ZeroDrawDrew, or email me at officialpipcatchers@gmail.com. Like I said, we're running this Black Friday sale right now for $95 for Pipology, the course, the premium course. So if you want to learn how to actually fucking do this shit on your own, DM me. We'll get you all set up. This course is normally $500. We're also including a full year of premium trade ideas with that $95 payment. So if you are interested, feel free, DM me, Instagram.com/ZeroDrawDrew. Make sure you like this shit, subscribe to the channel, keep us motivated to put this content out every other day. Other than that, everybody have a fantastic fucking week. Have a fantastic fucking Thanksgiving. Love you all. Have a great day. Peace.